Hey, how's it going, captains? Admiral Tori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I am sailing the Tier 8 Premium Japanese aircraft carrier, Kaga. So this game was a very fun game to me. It's a game that I wanted to share with you guys. Probably the best game I had so far in the Kaga, strictly speaking from experience. Not in damage or score, but just experiencing the new carrier rework. Now, the game is recorded with the hotfix, so 0.8.0.1, where Wargaming has buffed all sorts of anti-air for Tier 8 ships and above, which effectively killed off a lot of the Tier 8 carriers, because Tier 8, before, it was already tough to get a game going before the hotfix, and now it's rough. It's absolutely brutal to play at Tier 8. I think there used to be like 15 carriers in queue in the first week. Now there's only like 6. Now I kind of slowed down playing carriers, but I still wanted to get as much carrier experience as possible to post on this channel, and I was definitely lacking in the Japanese carrier nation, because I was mainly playing the Enterprise, and I think the Enterprise is my most favorite carrier to play so far. Not only because she's Enterprise, but the planes that she offered, the damage, the rockets are fun to use, the AP bombs, and the torpedoes are reliable at times. So Kaga, I want to illustrate with this game, aside from this game being amazing and fun, the difference in power, because not too long ago, last week, I made a video on the Kaga with my impressions with the new CV rework and how Kaga compared to her old self as a Tier 7 premium carrier. And one of the major points that I said was that the new Kaga was way less potent compared to the old Kaga. And the question is, how much of a difference? And this game is a perfect example. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you a screenshot of one of the games that I recorded, I think a year ago, or at least maybe 2 games I had with Kaga on this channel. I'm going to compare the scores, or I can let you guys look at the scores, and I'll let you guys think. What do you guys think? Because right now, with this game, you can definitely see my efforts. I'm trying to put as much as I can to get my Kaga game going. Now, I changed up my tactics ever since the hotfix, because one thing about Kaga is that she has the flimsiest plane at Tier 8. She's running Tier 7 planes in Tier 8 matchmaking, where Wargaming has recently buffed the anti-air. Now, fortunately, this game worked because I was top tier. But still, I mean, look at this. My planes are getting ripped to shred, and not only that, I can't just go in attack, because I have to calculate whether the attack is clear. Because you notice when I was attacking that on Irian, my plane flew over the island as I make that pass, and I met up with Baltimore's anti-air. So as a result, I took a lot of flak and lost a lot of planes. So I was trying to play more cautiously. Not only that, I increased the distance to drop. I used to try to drop as close as possible before the torpedoes couldn't arm. A few moments I do that because I felt it was clear, but in most cases I'm practicing my torpedo drops, and surprisingly I get really random torpedo hits when I drop from 5 kilometers, which is the maximum torpedo distance for the Kaga. So I'm trying to close the distance, spot the ship, and as I approach them, maybe 6 kilometers, I begin my dive and let the cone converge. Now right here, I'm not sure what my ranger is doing. Our friendly ranger, he's charging into the destroyers, and not only that, he knows the destroyers are here. It's not like the ranger has no clue where the destroyers are at. Both destroyers from the enemy team are on this side, and the lightning is really close to the ranger, and yet the ranger is locked at full speed ahead. So I'm trying to drop on the lightning, and unfortunately that torpedo did not detonate on the lightning. It was too close. I rushed that drop. I should have done a full turn, as in try to fly as far as possible and then drop by turning around again so I can get enough space to work with my torpedoes, but it didn't work that way. Dropped again, and friendly Irian took out the Lightning, but the Lightning already dropped her torpedoes. Now, I also noticed another thing that I didn't mention in my carrier videos so far that I've recently learned is that if I'm correct, carrier planes no longer spot torpedoes. And you might have noticed that my torpedo bombers flew over the Lightning, but didn't see the torpedoes until the torpedoes are near the Ranger, which means that the Rangers was already spotting the torpedo surface ship-wise rather than planes. So I didn't notice that mechanic until someone recently pointed it out. So yeah, that's a different a different experience compared to the previous version. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I got 4 torpedo hits so far, and my Kaga is heading towards the west side because that's where the enemy team is at. Now, I don't want to charge into that big blob over there, so I decided that I need to find a ship to attack again, and that is Lonely, of course. Now, first ship, I choose to attack Atlanta, which is the worst choice but she's the only one that was viable. Second choice was try to get the Lightning, which is not feasible for Kaga because Kaga wants to strike big fish. And again, I can't strike anything big because now I'm left with the Atlanta. That is the only ship that's available to attack because it's suicidal to go the Bayern. A skill that you want to learn in this new carrier mechanic is learn to conserve your planes, which is kind of funny because I'm taking it from the perspective of the Kaga when she has a massive reserve, a hangar reserve, if I put it that way. So, enemy Atlanta dropped around 4 kilometers. She shot down a couple of my planes, and I do manage to hit 1 torpedo on her stern. So that makes up 5 total torpedoes. Going to use the repair party. Only use the repair party when you feel like you can follow up. If you don't think it's worth following up, don't follow up. Just send your planes back if you were in that state. So for me, my threshold would be that if most of my planes are yellow, it's not worth going for a second attack. Send the planes back and get another set of torpedo bombers out. So Atlanta kind of grounded herself, or more like trapped herself, blocked herself from moving forward correctly, and I dropped another set of torpedoes. I think if I dropped them a little bit more towards her stern, I would have hit more torpedoes, but we scored 2 good torpedo hits. So 7 torpedoes so far with a total damage of 28,056. Yeah, it's not a lot of damage, but it's kind of hard to compare or benchmark this damage unless I show you guys the screenshot at the end of the video, which you will see the comparison in damage with the old one versus the new one. So now the enemy fleet at west has dispersed, and the first target I wanted to hit is this Bayern who's broadside. Now unfortunately the Bayern sees me coming, so she's already turning, and I decided to drop anyways. I think I should just approach even closer, but I was pretty hesitant about it. So going to fly around, and I noticed that enemy Ryujo is going to strike my Dunkirk. I decided to not go for a second strike and send my fighter plane first before I try to strike another ship. The fighter planes are, yeah, it's not so effective, and it looks like the Ryujo will try to strike my carrier, but I knock her out if you notice on the minimap. So Bayern's grouped up with the Atlanta, the other Atlanta, and I decided that hey, there's no point in striking that Bayern again, so we're gonna go back and strike this Atlanta who is camping right behind this island. Let's see if we can get a good strike right on the edge of the arming distance. One of the problems I have, or one of the challenges playing with the new aircraft carriers, is judging whether the ship is going fast, slow, or going ahead. You don't see it until you fly over it, which is a problem. So right there, I made sure, see, that's the thing with new hotfix, is that you have to make sure that you're outside of the flak range and give your bombers who are returning a reasonable amount of time to climb the altitude, or they will all get shot down. So if you haven't noticed, because before I could just automatically press F if I don't want to use them anymore and they become invulnerable. So Wargaming has fixed the F key spam. There's a lot more thought to it now. So I'm going to go back and try to get another torpedo run on the Atlanta. The Lo Yang has joined the party here. You notice that? So right here, I thought this was a cool drop, even though it's going to be a fail. Is that it looks like I was going to drop on the Low Yang, but I wasn't targeting the Low Yang. I was targeting the Atlanta. And the Atlanta saw those torpedoes like, oh, it looks like it's going to hit the Low Yang, but it turns out it was actually intended for her. It's a good thing I timed it correctly, because if I dropped it too far ahead, I would pretty much hit the Low Yang, and the Low Yang would block all those torpedoes from even trying to hit the Atlanta. So I didn't get the Atlanta, but I promise you guys, this time I will hit the Atlanta. So Atlanta is turning broadside, and I drop. It looks like a straddle, or a really fuzzy drop, but one of the torpedoes will randomly hit the Atlanta, giving me my first sunk ship in this game. Now I'm trying to fly away, trying to preserve these last torpedo planes. It's not worth trying to drop another set on the Low Yang. Game is about to wind down to 9 minutes before it ends. Sending out the next set of planes. So yeah, it's playing very economical, if I put it that way. And right there, magically I hit something. I think it was the Low Yang. I don't know how, but I hit the Low Yang from that previous run where I hit the Atlanta. So yeah, I got pretty lucky. I don't know, I'm just getting these random torpedo hits. It's kind of crazy. So next up, I'm going to strike this Baltimore. Baltimore has strong anti-air, so I'm going to drop at a fair distance, I assume. Yes, I do drop at a fair distance. I'm treating this like a destroyer, if I put it that way. If you guys can see what I'm trying to do. Because technically, Kaga is like a Kagero. Yeah, really rhymes with it, and right there I just lost most of my planes. But Kagero has a quadruple launcher. And with the Kaga, she can do a 4 torpedo run per flight. And I'm just envisioning myself as a flying Kagero. But at the same time, a really weak Kagero, because now I got 12 torpedo hits with only 41k damage. Well, almost 42. But it's, with the numbers to damage, if I were to take a picture or screenshot of just the torpedo ribbons and then post it on some sort of polling site, and people are going to try to guess how much damage I did, chances are most people are going to overestimate the torpedo damage, because 12 torpedoes is not impressive with 41 or 42k damage, more specifically rounded up. So we're going to strike the New Mexico again. You're going to see, again, remember, trying to compare the difference between the old Kaga versus the new Kaga. Here we go. Drop it at a distance, bow on, and score 3,000 damage with 1 torpedo on the bow. No flooding at all. Absolutely no flooding. Usually you flood ships when you hit a torpedo on the bow and not at the belt or the stern. So again, we're going to try again, because the New Mexico was still maneuvering from the first wave, and this time I got a really nice broadside. 9,000 damage, knocked out the rudder. So roughly 3,000 damage per torpedo hit on that run. She used her damage control. I think her damage control still be up, but I still went for another torpedo strike. And that one is going to be beautiful, I believe. 4 hits. A perfect 4 out of 4. But I don't know how much damage that was. That was like 10k? It wasn't that much. Well, it was a lot for the New Mexico, but if you compare to the old Kaga, that wasn't really that much. Normally, when I was in my old Kaga, I'm able to pretty much take out 90% of a battleship health pool in one run if they pretty much sail by themselves. Enemy Enterprise is going to harass me. Now, if you guys remember, well, if anyone who watched my carrier rework impression or my thoughts on it, I basically said that I absolutely hate how the inability to control your carrier while your planes are up in the sky. Yeah, right now I'm trying to zigzag my carrier with the autopilot. It's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful to see me trying to use the autopilot and maneuver as I'm trying to take on this New Mexico. And again, more torpedo hits, 22 torpedo hits, and so far 70k damage. Now 70k is a respectable amount of damage for tier 6. I'm not sure about tier 8 in general. To put in perspective, I average around 130k with my Musashi at tier 9. Tier 8, I average with my Alabama around 100k. 100 to 110k, I don't recall. For my battleships, usually I average around 100k at tier 8. So 23 torpedo hits, that is a record so far for me. I'm hitting all those torpedoes. So now I got stuck in the border. I'm trying to manually maneuver my carrier for a second, and we're gonna send out the dive bombers. Why? I have no clue. I don't know why I sent out my dive bombers. I should have sent out my torpedo bombers, but I decided to go with the dive bombers. Enemy Enterprise is, I think the enemy Enterprise took out one of the Miyoko, or at least the last ship that was on my side before I'm the last one left alive. I also made sure to set my priority sector to my port side, since I'm going to expect planes to come from my port side anyways, since the border is on the right side. Going to circumnavigate around that combat air patrol area and go for the dive bomb attack. Now, Japanese dive bomb cameras are just so annoying. Like, I'm going crazy with my mouse, try to get a bird's eye view instead of looking into the sky, so I can see where I'm trying to drop my bombs. And again, Kaga is the only Japanese carrier, and this is her premium cork, to have only HE bombs for her dive bombers, while all other Japanese have the AP. Hit one of the bombs on the turrets, but unfortunately that's not going to pen because it's on the turret. Almost about to die. Send in my next set of torpedoes. Enemy Enterprise is going to try to strike me. Looks like she got a torpedo down, and I shot down 3 of her planes in the process. Yeah, Kaga has a lot of large caliber anti-air, so the hotfix has really beefed up her anti-air. I decided to go for the Aoba because Aoba is the closest one to me. She's going to get HE shells on my flight deck, so ideally you should go for the Aoba. If you're in my position, I don't know, maybe go for New Mexico to finish them off before the game ends. So 24 torpedoes, 78,000 damage so far. Drop another set of torpedoes. I think I should have dropped it even closer, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to get hit by the enemy any moment now. Should be the enemy. Come on now. I'm really low. No? Oh, there it is. You saw that? The AP shells? No? Maybe I miscalculated. Yeah, I dropped one of my combat air patrol fighters there, and there we go. The Bayern. Bayern took me out. So, yeah. So for that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Look through the score. I'm going to post a comparison, and let me know what you think about it between the old Kaga versus the new Kaga. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships. And yeah, that's a lot of credits for losing a game.